Here we go again. We are at number 33 of our top 50 players of all time list. And that 33rd spot goes to none other than Levon Aronian, born in 1982 in Yerevan in Armenia. Means he is 37 years old at the time of recording. Peter, what can you tell us about Levon?
Well, Levon is an incredibly strong player. I mean, actually, his weak spot for this claim is his World Championship career. He's been to the candidates or the World Championships tournaments very often and always been considered either one of the favorites or one of the outsiders to either qualify for the match or to get the title directly. But he's always failed at this instance, basically. And that is somewhat puzzling and surprising because, he's been a clear number 2 in the world for quite a while. And his peak rating is 28-30 and such. He's an incredibly strong player who was supposed to make his bid to the World Championship, but sort of either by, bad fluctuations or other factors, he's never really managed that. So it's someone who is, by strength, very much belongs in the World Chess Hall of Fame. And I think Kasparov says when the chess world is just a more beautiful place when Aronian plays better. But sort of in a sporting sense, he has managed everything like winning tournaments and World Cups and everything like that. But when it really comes down to sort of a push to show in the World Championship cycle, he hasn't quite made it.
Yeah, I agree. I still think, one can debate the number, but it's very, very clear. He belongs here if we just look at his achievement. 4th highest rated player in history with 28-30. He has won the World Cup in 2005 and 2017. He's won pretty much all the big tournaments. He's led Armenia, which is not a big country, to 3 chess Olympiad gold medals, which is insane. And just by pure chess class, I remember at some point he was just completely crushing Vishy Anand, who, spoiler alert, we will meet much, much higher on this list, and had like 5-0 against him. And Magnus has said this is one of the guys that can very much outplay me. So he's just an incredible talent who, as you mentioned.
There is nothing he cannot do at the chessboard. There's no opponent that can block him, right? But the World Championship, doesn't seem so.
Well, it looks like Magnus is a stronger player. He has a minus score against Magnus, but also Magnus we will see later on this list.
There is one player that, technically speaking, Aronian has a very good score against in matches. I guess you know who that is, right?
I do not.
No, it's actually Magnus. He's beaten him twice in the World Championship cycle. But it was first time was in the FIDE knockout in Tripoli, where he beat him, and then later they met in the candidates. But we are talking about the extremely young Magnus, not Magnus, the world best player, or Magnus, the World Championship candidate, but Magnus, the teenager, or maybe even pre-teenager, or something like that. So that is just a technicality. But it's true that in their rivalry, of course, in the bigger sense, Magnus has gotten the better of it. But Aronian had his successes both in tournament victories and also in wins. And as you will, we're going to show you a game where he just looks like he's completely outplaying Magnus with good chess, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Mm. So, I'm not sure if we ranked him properly. It's always hard to say. We should also say that his career is very far from over. His current rating is 2773. He is the number 7 in the world. So
he has the potential to move higher, right? I mean, he's going to try again in the next cycle, I'm sure. And if things goes well for him there, he can move up considerably, obviously, if he goes all the way.
Absolutely. All right, then let's look at the things he can do on the chessboard, because this game against Magnus, obviously, as mentioned, I think he has a significant minus score overall, but he's also one of the few who's not won 1 or 2, but a couple very nice crushing victories against Magnus Carlsen.
And he always tries to beat Magnus, right? So
Carlsen plays his A6, a system that Vishy Anand played in his 2012 World Championship match. Never really caught on, and I guess for reasons you have to work a lot to make this work, no?
Yeah, it's probably one of these openings that you can make it by concrete lines. You can sort of force your way to actually make it work, but sort of generally, you're putting pieces in somewhat awkward squares, right? I mean, in a Meron, you will have the bishop on d6, the queen on d8, and the pawn on b6. It just looks more healthy, right? I mean, you can't really debate that.
Yeah. No, the drama starts here. He plays his move bishop c2, which is already too deep for me. But it had
too deep for me, unfortunately, because I think I was Magnus second, helping him prepare the game, and we tried to surprise him. But Aronian played bishop c2, and he said that this was, some old novelty he prepared on some kind of training camp, which I don't remember the details. But anyway, it's not really relevant for our conversation here.
Yeah, not a theory show, but we can see Aronian is not afraid to mix it and comes up with very deep and very dangerous concepts, even for Magnus here. Bishop c2 followed by a3, sacrificing the exchange, locking up the queen, and generates a very serious initiative in return. Which I'm not sure if this game was always crystal clear, but I mean, it is impressive.
No, there was chances for Magnus now, and I basically remember the emotions there, like sort of, okay, Magnus is saving it, not really, and then praying for some kind of computer defense. But if we just look at it as a sort of a sports competition, it's clear that Aronian is putting tremendous pressure, and Magnus has to solve a lot of things, and on a very good day, he will do that and make a draw, but not on this day.
Yeah. Bishop h7 also, yeah. Keeping the pressure up, he's currently a rook down, but after queen h5.
But I mean, this is a bit like we saw Ivanchuk Kasparov. You're treating the leader of your generation and just making him look pretty, average on that day, right? Obviously, Magnus is an amazing player, but not here.
Yeah, queen c7. It's not simple tactics either, right? You have still a rook down, and you have to anticipate all this nonsense. Like it's a very impressive game. Even here, this knight, I think, gets trapped, so we're far from done.
Yeah, I think he plays he gives up a piece here again. No, it was, it's an amazing game. Everybody would be happy to have this in their collection. Again, I mean, he keeps playing strong moves. Maybe, I wouldn't rule out there was some kind of computer withdraw around here, and maybe d6 it would have been better. But for the overall impression, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think I recall d6 was a computer move, but still. It's a pretty cool game.
Yeah. Well, this is Aronian at his best. I mean, he can just outplay people, and it was some kind of opening novelty, but it was actually Magnus who surprised first, and then Aronian had to remember some kind of old stuff. And he's an incredible force when things goes his way. But
and you can also see it's not like a straightforward classical game. No, it's very much his own style and random stuff, sacrificing a pawn, then an exchange, then a bishop, but all based in, of course, sound chess. So, no, he's just a very, very special talent.
Yeah, and he's been there for a long time. I was Vichy's second when he became the world champion in 2007, but Aronian was considered one of the pre-tournament favorites and such. And from Aronian's perspective, he had a bad loss against Vichy very early on, which sort of dictated things. But, I mean, even 10 years later, he's in play for candidates and everything. And he's been the favorite or sub-favorite for a really long time. And rightly so, because it reflects his chess strength. But, the ball hasn't gone into the back of the net yet.
Yeah, that is thus far the story of Levon Aronian. But what a giant of the game he is, I think there's just no denying.
Very much so.
So, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.